I never thought I'd end up telling this story. Not because I'm ashamed, but because even now, part of me still doesn't believe it really happened. It started last winter, around late October. Right before Halloween, actually. I was working 2 jobs and running an OnlyFans account on the side to keep up with rent. It wasn't anything wild, mostly chatting, photos, the kind of stuff a lot of people do now. Most nights, I'd sit at my small desk, light a red LED lamp in the corner, and record short clips or talk with subscribers. I always kept things friendly, professional. Nothing too personal. But then came one subscriber, the one who changed everything. His username was Watcher13. He seemed normal at first. Polite. He tipped a lot, left compliments that felt oddly formal. "Your lighting brings out the atmosphere," he wrote. "You seem safest when it's dark red." I thought he meant it in an aesthetic way, something about the color of the light or the mood it gave. Then one night, he said something strange. "You shouldn't leave your mug by the sink. The shadow under it moves." It stopped me. I looked at the camera, confused. I had posted a live chat earlier that day, in my kitchen, and there had been a coffee mug by the sink. But the shadow? He couldn't possibly see that detail. I brushed it off. Told myself people notice things more than we think. But over the next few days, his messages got weirder. He described the sound of my hallway clock ticking, something that had never appeared in my videos. He mentioned the reflection of my TV in the microwave door. He even described what color sweatshirt I was wearing, in a post that didn't show my upper body. That's when I realized somehow he was seeing more than I showed. Then came the message that made me lose sleep for the first time. "Don't look behind the curtain tonight. I live on the 5th floor. My balcony has a long, heavy curtain that covers the sliding glass door." I laughed when I read it. I even sent a reply, something like, "What curtain?" But as I turned toward it, I swear I saw it move. Not much, just a small, smooth ripple, like someone had brushed their hand along the outside of the fabric. I remember standing there for almost a minute, phone light shining toward the curtain, telling myself there was no way. There's no ledge out there, no ladder, nothing to stand on. Still, I locked the door and slept with the light on. The next morning, there was a fingerprint smudge on the glass, larger than mine. When I told my friend, she said I was paranoid, that maybe it was my own print from before. I tried to believe her, but Watcher13's messages didn't stop. He began sending short sentences every night at 10:15 p.m., the exact time I usually went live. "Why aren't you streaming? Red light looks better when it flickers." And one night, "You don't need to hide the balcony. It's my favorite view." That message made me sick. I called the building manager and asked him to check the hallway cameras. He said the one facing my apartment had gone dark 2 days earlier. A wiring issue, apparently. The same 2 days that Watcher13 started talking about my balcony. After that, I stopped streaming. I took everything down. I figured it would all blow over if I just disappeared. But a week later, he sent me a 200 tip through a backup account. The note said, "You don't have to hide forever." That night, I woke up to my phone buzzing on the nightstand. It was a video call request. The name just said unknown. I declined. It rang again. Declined. Third time, I answered. The screen stayed black, but I heard breathing. Slow, deep, deliberate. Then a low voice said, "You really should have kept the curtain open." I dropped the phone. I called 911, shaking, barely able to speak. They came, searched everything. The balcony, the hallway, the stairwell, nothing. No prints, no sign of forced entry. One of the officers told me it was probably just an internet prank. They left. And I sat up all night, staring at that curtain. The next morning I packed my things. I deleted every account, every photo, changed my number, moved across town. For a while I felt safe. Then about a month later, I came home from work and saw something on my couch. A small red gift box, the kind used for jewelry. I didn't touch it at first, but curiosity got me. I opened it. Inside was one of my old earrings, one I'd lost months ago, and a folded note. It said, "You look safest in red." The handwriting was shaky, but I recognized it instantly. I moved again the next day. Different city. I stopped posting anything online. But sometimes when I upload a harmless photo, maybe a picture of food or a landscape, within minutes, a new account follows me. Always the same profile image. Always the same bio. Watching. And on certain nights, when the street lights outside my apartment flicker red, I can feel someone standing just beyond the curtain. Waiting. I never believed in haunted houses. Not until last Halloween. I had just moved into a duplex on the edge of town, the kind of quiet street where every mailbox leans the same way and no one opens their blinds after sunset. The place was old but cheap. The landlord said it had character, which usually means things don't work right. At first, I didn't mind the quirks. The pipes groaned like someone sighing behind the walls. The windows rattled even when there was no wind. But I figured that's what old houses do. They creak, they complain, they settle. It wasn't until the third week that I started to hear it. Late one night, while I was half asleep, I heard something through the vent next to my bed. It sounded like humming. Soft, tuneless, almost like a lullaby. I sat up, listened hard. It stopped the second I turned off the fan. I told myself it was just the wind pushing through the ducts. Houses make noise, right? But the next night, it came again. The same low hum, steady and slow. I pressed my ear to the vent. That's when I realized it wasn't just noise. There was breathing behind it. I didn't sleep that night. Days passed, and the sounds got bolder. Sometimes I'd wake up to faint knocking inside the walls, always 3 slow taps, spaced perfectly apart. Sometimes it came from the hallway, sometimes from the kitchen, and once from right behind the headboard. Then Halloween rolled around. I didn't have plans, so I stayed in, microwaved some leftovers, and watched old horror movies. Outside, the wind carried the smell of rain and pumpkin candles from someone's porch. It should have felt cozy, but that night, everything in the house felt off. The air was colder, heavier, like the whole place was holding its breath. Sometime after midnight, I heard footsteps above me. Slow, deliberate. Except there's no upstairs. Just a flat roof. I muted the TV. The footsteps stopped. I waited, holding my breath, listening. Then came that sound again, the humming, but this time, it wasn't from the vent. It was coming from inside the walls, like something moving through the plaster. The tune was clearer now, almost familiar, like a song someone half remembers from childhood. And then I heard it. A whisper woven into the hum. A single word. My name. I froze. The voice was calm, almost gentle, but it said my name again, slowly, drawn out, like it wanted to be sure I was listening. That's when I saw the light flicker in the hallway. I turned, and the bulb above me blinked 3 times before going completely dark. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, just enough to see the outline of the mirror hanging by the door. And that's when I noticed it. A streak, thin and black, smeared across the bottom edge of the glass. Like soot. I wiped it with my sleeve, but when I pulled my hand away, a shape formed in the condensation, a handprint. Not mine. The fingers were too long. I backed away, heart pounding, the flashlight shaking in my grip. And then the front door creaked. Not loud, just a tiny, slow movement like someone testing it from the other side. I whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. The door opened another inch, and I swear I saw something shift in the reflection of the mirror. Not a person, not fully, just a dark outline that moved against the light from the window. I ran forward and slammed the door shut, throwing the lock. The metal burned cold against my hand. It shouldn't have been that cold. That's when the humming started again, but louder, this time from every vent in the house. I could hear it under the floorboards, behind the walls, circling the room. It was like the whole house was breathing. I turned off the flashlight, hoping maybe the dark would hide me. For a few seconds, everything was still. Then in the pitch black, I heard it again, a whisper, so close it felt like it came from right beside my ear. "Welcome home." I ran. I didn't even think. I unlocked the door, stumbled out into the freezing air, and sprinted across the street. I stood there, barefoot on the pavement, staring at the house. Every window was glowing faint red, like firelight trapped behind glass. I called the police. When they arrived, the lights inside were normal again. They searched every room, nothing. No footprints, no signs of a break-in, no soot, no handprints. One officer laughed, said it was probably a Halloween prank. But then he looked down the hallway, toward the mirror, and his face changed. He called me over. There was a new mark on the wall beside the vent, a long black line, drawn in soot. Only this time, it wasn't random. It was the outline of a door that didn't exist. They told me to get some rest. I didn't. I packed what I could and left that night. A few weeks later, I drove by to drop off my keys. Someone new had already moved in, a couple young, probably thought they got lucky with cheap rent. The porch light was on, their curtains open. As I passed, I glanced toward the window and saw a tall figure standing inside, just behind the glass. Not the man or the woman. Something else. It didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there, head tilted slightly toward the vent. I told myself it was a shadow, a trick of light. I wanted to believe that. But then I heard it again, faintly through the car window as I drove off. The same tune I'd heard that night. That slow, steady humming. And under it, the sound of breathing. It happened 2 Halloweens ago, and I still can't walk past a pumpkin display without feeling sick. I worked nights at a small gas station just outside the city limits. We stayed open 24 hours, but Halloween shifts were always strange. People drove by in costumes, the fog rolled in thick from the river, and every once in a while some prankster would try to scare us. I didn't mind. It was boring work anyway. That night, around 11 p.m., I was alone behind the counter, scrolling on my phone. A single car pulled up to Pump 3, an old rust-colored sedan. The driver didn't get out. Just sat there. Lights off. Engine idling. I watched the clock. 5 minutes. 10. Still nothing. Then the door creaked open. A woman stepped out, wearing an orange plastic mask. You know the kind, cheap, shiny, with a permanent grin. She was tall, hair hidden under a black hooded coat. She didn't look toward me, didn't grab the pump, just stood there facing the glass, that grin reflecting the light. I hit the mic and asked through the speaker if she needed help. She didn't move. The only thing that changed was her head, tilting slowly to the left, then to the right, like she was studying me. The air felt wrong. I locked the door. She finally turned, opened her car trunk, and I swear I saw someone sitting inside, knees pulled to their chest, pale hands gripping the edge. But before I could really focus, she slammed it shut. Then she came toward the store. I stepped back, heart pounding, pretending to check the register. The automatic door sensors clicked, but the glass didn't open, it only beeped. She stood there outside, inches from me, separated by the glass. Her breath fogged the surface. She lifted a gloved finger and traced something in the condensation. At first I thought it was a circle. Then I realized it was a smile. A second smile, wider than the one on her mask. I reached for the phone to call 911. That's when the lights flickered, the fluorescence buzzing so loud it hurt my ears, and she was suddenly gone. I rushed to the window. The car was still there, trunk open, empty. A small orange mask, not hers, a child's size, lay on the ground by the pump. The police came 20 minutes later. They searched the lot, the nearby ditch, even the woods behind the station. No sign of her, no footprints, no plates on the sedan. They told me it was probably some Halloween prank gone too far. But a week later, a detective came back with a photo. It was the woman's driver's license, found in an abandoned car off the highway. Same rust color, same cracked taillight. Only the car had been burned out completely. He asked if I was sure it was her. I told him yes. Then he told me the car had been found 2 days before my shift that night. She'd been missing since October 29th. I transferred stores after that. Still work nights, still hate Halloween. And every year, right before midnight, I make sure the pumps are empty and the lights inside stay bright. Because once, last Halloween, I saw it again. Camera caught it this time. A shape, standing by pump 3, head tilted, breathing fog onto the glass. When I zoomed in, there were 2 faces. One orange, smiling, and another one underneath, pale, still watching.